Well, crew, the Thunder's start of the 2020-21 season is here. We play the Houston Rockets on Wednesday night for the very first game of the season. The roster just got officially announced, and so I thought this would be a great opportunity to just break down this group. A lot of new faces, and Thunder fans are going to want to get to know these guys before they hit the court. Let's start with our resident point guard of the group, Paris Lawson. Break down this guard crew.
I'll talk about the guards all day long. And the Thunder has a lot of tools in the toolbox when it comes to this position. And we've seen Coach Dagnall during the preseason kind of play around with some guard-heavy lineups. And he certainly has the flexibility to do that with the players that he has at this position. Of course, headlining the group, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who we all saw last season blossom as an off-the-ball player and averaging 17 points, right around 6 rebounds per game. And he told us that experience last season only added to his game as a natural point guard. And that's going to be really big for him this season because he's going to command a lot of attention from opposing defenses. This is where it's really helpful to have veteran guards like George Hill, who's a knockdown shooter, led the NBA in three-point percentage last season. Same thing with Ty Jerome, another high IQ player, former NCAA champ. And the Thunder also acquired Teo Maledon in the draft this season. So let's not leave out Hamidou Diallo in this as well, who we also saw play some primary ball handler role this season. So he's going to have the ability to take some of the load off for the other guards this season. So it should be really interesting to see the lineups and the rotations that Coach Dagnall puts together with this group.
Hami is basically the Swiss Army knife, and he's the perfect kind of example of this team's flexibility, versatility. I think that's a perfect transition to Chris Fisher, who's going to talk about the wings on this crew.
Now, there is a most coveted position in basketball now in 2020, and that is the wing. One of the reasons why, versatility. You got to be able to do everything on the wing in the modern-day NBA. You got to be able to defend small guards. You got to be able to defend big guys. You got to be able to shoot. You got to play inside. You got to play outside. And this is the position group that is completely retooled for this Thunder roster. There are 5 new players led by, of course, the first-round pick, Aleksej Pokusevski. We saw a little bit of him in the preseason, what he can do. Very raw skill set, but he's going to be getting an opportunity as the season goes on. Maybe not in the starting lineup, but he's certainly going to be getting some of those minutes. A player that we didn't see that's also very intriguing, recovering from an Achilles injury, is Darius Miller. Darius Miller, excellent outside shooter. You can never have enough shooting on anybody's roster this day and age. He's a very good career three-point shooter. So there's still something that we got to find out with Darius Miller. When that happens, remains to be seen. Justin Jackson, another newly acquired player from Dallas, a little bit experienced in the NBA. What's he going to bring? Can he hit that reset button with his career here in Oklahoma City? He's an intriguing player. And Kendrick Williams, we saw a little bit of him in the preseason as well. A couple of years under his belt. What can he add to this roster? So there's a lot of questions amongst the wings, but we know how important this position group is, and I'm sure that's going to evolve as the season goes on.
Now, Chris, let me check my notes here, but I think that we have a former NBA rebounding champ on this call today. I think it's only fitting that we have him talk about the bigs on this group.
Thanks, Gallo. That's a wonderful intro, but it's funny that today's NBA, man, I would really have problems trying to figure out where do I belong on the roster, because when you look at a modern day roster for the NBA, this is kind of what you see and what the Thunder have right now. Now, Fish, I got to borrow one of your players. I'm going to start with him, Aleksej Pokusevski.
Oh, you stealing my guy?
I got to take him, man.
He's a wing.
You remember Paris? This is positionless basketball, right? Okay, so I need to borrow him for a second. I think he's going to be one of those guys where you can throw him out there, play him at that 5 spot. You know what? He's 7 feet tall. You can play him at the 4, maybe a little bit at the 3, and probably, as Fish mentioned, I like the idea of being able to use him and just give him a plethora of minutes. Allow him to make mistakes, allow him to take shots, get comfortable out there on the floor. I think the Serbian will be fine in his first season. Now, you got other guys that are very stable, I think, that when you need a bucket, down in the crunch, you need rebounds, you need gritty defense. I'm calling on Al Horford, man. I'm going to bring him up because I think he's one of those guys who can stabilize your team no matter what situation, what quarter you're in. Bad start to the first quarter, he'll get you going at some point in time in that first quarter. I like the handyman work that he does, that he brings to the team. I think he stretches the floor like all these players that I'm talking about with a modern day roster. Then I got to go to Darius Bazley. I think he's going to be one of those guys who's going to step up, step into what not really necessarily the expectation, But step into the development line. I thought he had a big boost during the bubble, continue to play, shoot the three, play defense, all the type of things that you need to do, push the pace of the game as he's done the entire season. Now, Isaiah Roby, we haven't got a good look at him. We haven't had a lot of time to watch him. I think the upside with him, he's in a perfect situation where he's going to get the opportunity to play and just keep giving him minutes. Now, we know Mike Muscala. I mean, I'm not worried about him. I throw him in the same category as Al Horford. You know, he's the guy who's going to stretch the floor, open the driving lanes for Paris, for your guys, you know, like Shea, Melodon. Allow those guys to get into seams, make plays, kick back to Mike Muscala, pick and pop. He's a perfect guy for that. So when you talk about all these guys, you know, what they can do, they all interchange. They play off of each other. It's such a modern day roster when you look at it. I mean, I'm looking at my tablet here. It's what it says, one word, very modern, very fun. Looking forward to it.
Well, and you don't have to wait too much longer, Mike. The Thunder's first game, as we mentioned, against the Houston Rockets down in Houston. That's a 7 p.m. Central Time tip-off on Fox Sports Oklahoma on Wednesday night. We'll have the call for you, and it'll also be on the radio, the Thunder Radio Network.